Well, Senator Bernie Sanders is also being blasted by AIPAC, that's the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, after his claim that the pro-Israel group gives a, quote, platform to bigotry. Sanders announced on Sunday that he would not attend the annual AIPAC Policy Conference, which is typically attended by top Democrats and Republicans. Sanders tweeted, "The Israeli people have the right to live in peace and security. So do the Palestinian people. I remain concerned about the platform that AIPAC provides for leaders who express bigotry and oppose basic Palestinian rights. For that reason, I will not attend their conference." Well, AIPAC responded with the following statement. Senator Sanders has never attended our conference, and that is evident from his outrageous comments. In fact, many of his own Senate and House Democratic colleagues and leaders speak from our platform to the over 18,000 Americans from diverse backgrounds. They went on to say that by engaging in such an odious attack on this mainstream bipartisan American political event, Sanders is insulting his very own colleagues and the millions of Americans who stand with Israel. Well, the conference will be held at the beginning of March, and confirmed speakers include Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and Democratic Senator Bob Menendez, as well as a bipartisan roster of U.S. representatives. All right, joining us now to discuss is Thane Rosenbaum. Good to have you with us, Thane.
Of course, Michelle.
All right, Sanders going out of his way to bash AIPAC, as we discussed, an organization that has traditionally enjoyed bipartisan support. What do you make of it?
Well, you know, the Sanders candidacy, and certainly a Sanders presidency, is going to completely upend the whole idea of, you know, what Israelis always said, which is we don't care if it's a Democrat or Republican. Whoever is the best president for the United States is the best president for Israel. That's not true in this case. If the country decides that Sanders is the best person to be in the White House, that's not going to be the case. The reason he says this, his base, his mindset is anti-colonial, it's intersectional. He sees Israel as an anti-colonial, racist, white privileged society. And so anything that supports that.
Well, you know, Thane, he's very quick to criticize the Israeli government. Israel is right now under attack, as we mentioned, about 90 rockets fired from Gaza at civilian targets, That's actually a double war crime. And not a word of condemnation coming from Sanders about that. He's very rarely condemned Hamas, if at all. Does that reflect a double standard?
Remember, he single-handedly changed the conversation about how candidates, elected officials in the United States spoke about Israel. And it happened during his election against Hillary Clinton in 2016. And he used phrases with respect to the conduct of the war in Gaza in 2014 that had never been used before. Excessive force, disproportionate Palestinian death. He has never pointed out that Palestinians have any reciprocal obligations, right. Renouncing violence, renouncing incitement, accepting the fact that they will live beside a Jewish state. So this is not surprising at all. The attacks against Israel, again, it goes back to the point I just said before. His anti-colonial mindset is this is
but you say anti-colonial as though Israel is some kind of colony.
Exactly, and that's how, no, their perspective, this is what's rampant on college campuses, is that Israel, the Jews that live there are from Brooklyn. They have nothing to do with, they're not an indigenous native.
That's obviously completely divorced from 3,000 years
of Michelle,
history.
That's what they think. They're saying this is an anti-colonial enterprise that has taken away the land of Arabs. That is the perspective, the fundamental.
Of him and his supporters. Look, Sanders is also backed by people who have been accused of being anti-Semites, Congresswoman Omar, Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, Linda Sarsour. Been accused of being anti-Semitic and anti-Zionist. But is he able to deflect that he himself is not anti-Semitic by saying that he has Jewish roots, that he has a Jewish background, or even identifies as Jewish?
It's what makes him dangerous, Michelle, you know, because his ethnic bona fides make it difficult to call him anti-Semitic. Remember, it was only just a few weeks ago, for the first time, Senator Sanders proclaimed, "I am a proud Jew, and the Holocaust has impacted me the most." Decades of public service, he's never said anything like this. So you know, this was a gesture, a courtesy to the Jewish community, but he's never identified with Jews.
So does that shield him from being called an anti-Semite and anti-Israel?
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying, that this is what makes him really dangerous. He'll say, which he's always said, he said it recently, I believe that Israel should live with peace and security. It's his sort of throwaway line.
Says that whilst not condemning rocket attacks at civilians.
And his people believe, his principal advisors, his Jared Kushner, whoever that'll be, will believe in BDS.
And that's, of course, the boycott Israel movement. So how do these comments coming from Sanders, do you think, very quickly impact Jewish voters?
Well, you know, the Democratic Party has had, in recent times, a difficulty of reaching out to Jews. The progressive movement has shifted, and Jews have a big decision to make this time.